The best way to get people to connect with you and to eventually buy things from you is to share your story with them. And the best way to do that is for them to get to know you. And you do that by sharing pictures of yourself, by sharing pieces of your story, by getting to know them the same way that you would if you were getting to know a new friend. My name is Sarah Kuhn, and this is the Introvert's Guide to Starting a Business, where we talk about starting your own business through blogging and podcasting and how to do all of this as an introvert. I'll share practical tips on blogging, marketing, selling, and fighting all of the fears that come up along the way. I'll also share with you my personal journey of starting a business as an introvert, learning how to put myself out there, and finding self-love in the process. I'll show you how to create a business and a life that you absolutely love. Hi there. Today we're talking about Instagram. I am going to walk you through the exact strategy that I used to build my Instagram account from nothing, from a brand new account, to over 52,000 followers, almost 53,000 followers. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about building your audience with Instagram. We're going to talk about what kind of content to share. I'm going to share with you the best strategies that I know for growth, and then how to automate everything so you don't have to be posting everything organically. Just as a reminder, you can watch the video podcast at youtube.com/infjwoman. I really suggest that you do, because I have slides that I'm sharing and there's lots of pictures. So make sure that you go over there and check it out and hit subscribe while you're there. You can also get all the links for everything that we're talking about at podcast.sarahkuhn.co, which is podcast.sarah, S-A-R-A-H. My last name is K-U-H-N, and then .co. All right, so this is me. In case you didn't know, that's what I look like. That's one of my favorite pictures of me, so you'll see it everywhere. I wanted to start by telling you a little bit about me and my journey, by sharing my story with you a little bit. I have been working in digital marketing for about 10 years now. I started working for a mechanical contractor when I was living in Charlotte almost 10 years ago now. I fell in love with marketing there, and I moved on to work for a professional athlete. I worked for a marketing agency that managed athletes and sponsors. I was there for about 3 years. And I've had a few other jobs along the way. Unfortunately, I've had quite a few jobs. I've worked in the nonprofit industry. I've worked in the technology industry. So lots of different experience as far as social media and digital marketing goes. I love social media. It's my favorite kind of marketing. And what I love about it so much is that it's always changing. There's always something new to learn. Now, I know that's what a lot of people hate about social media, is that it's always changing. But for me, that keeps it fun. That means that there's always something new to dive into. There's always some new trick that you can learn. There's always something new that's working. And while that means something isn't working, it gives you the ability to keep growing and keep learning, which is what I love. I've recently gotten into email marketing as well in the last couple of years. And I love email marketing as well, because it's the same thing. You're constantly learning. I'm also pretty techie, so I love the setup side of things. I like learning how to use new software, and I like figuring out a better way to do things. So you have a lot of that with social media and with email marketing. As far as my business goes, I started my Instagram, my INFJ Woman Instagram, in December of 2018. I was bored on Christmas vacation, and I was looking for something to do. I had learned a lot about my personality type over the last several years, and it helped me a lot. It helped me get out of a massive depression that I spent several years trying to figure out how to get out of. It helped me understand myself better, and it helped me to give myself a lot more compassion and more grace. I was always incredibly hard on myself, and that helped me to understand It also helped me to understand that the things that people said about me aren't necessarily true, that I'm not broken or messed up. I'm introverted, very much introverted. I like being by myself. I like quiet time. And a lot of people had told me from when I was a young age that there was something wrong with me, that you shouldn't be by yourself all the time. You need to have a bunch of friends. You need to work on group projects. You need to be more outgoing. So because they had said all those things, I thought, well, I must be broken. There must be something really wrong with me. But once I started learning about my personality type, then it helped me to understand I'm not broken. That's just how I am. That's how I operate, and that's totally fine. So once I started learning about that, I thought, well, maybe there's somebody else out there that needs to know this information. Maybe there's somebody that I could help. So while I was bored on Christmas vacation, I thought, okay, well, I have a bunch of graphics about INFJs that I've saved on my Pinterest board. Thousands, actually. Not a bunch, but thousands. And I thought, well, I love Instagram and I have all this free time. Maybe I could just throw something together and see what happens. So I created a logo pretty quickly, in Adobe Spark that we'll be talking more about later. And I threw it up there, started a brand new account, and put a couple of posts up there. And I stuck with it for a while, a couple weeks probably, before I got bored. And then I was like, let me do something else. And a week or two goes by and I went back to look at it, and there's like 1,000 people following me. And I was like, wow, 1,000 people. I've never had an account do that before. Most of the accounts that I've worked on in the past, I've had to work really, really hard just to get 100 followers. And now here's 1,000 people following me. So at that point, I was like, well, maybe I really have something here. Maybe I should start taking this a little bit more serious. So I started posting more consistently. I got a schedule going and a content calendar, and I started looking at it like maybe this could be some type of a business at some point. And I was surprised that it just grew and grew and grew and grew. And within just a short amount of time, I believe it was 3-4 months, I had 10,000 followers. And I was so excited to get to 10,000 followers, because if you don't know this about Instagram, once you get to 10,000 followers, you have this swipe up function in the stories. So you can put a link in your stories. So I thought that was really cool, because in January of 2019, I started writing a blog, and I wanted to use my Instagram to promote my blog. And with that swipe up function, then it was a whole lot easier to share the link in stories. So the great thing about my Instagram, since it was growing so well, I was able to play with it a lot, to test a lot of the theories that I had about social media. It was completely my own. There was nobody who owned it. There was no business behind it where, there was somebody who didn't even use Instagram who was telling me what I should and shouldn't do, which had always been the case at every job that I've ever had. There was no arbitrary set of rules. There wasn't anything. It was just me, and I could do whatever I wanted with it. So it was a lot of fun to be able to play with it, and to see what happened. So this is a picture here. You can see I have 52.9 thousand followers right now. It's like, well, it shows right here, I guess, in the middle. 51 followers away from 53,000, basically. And you can see that I gained 283 followers this past week, and that my impressions were almost 800,000. So pretty good. This is the biggest account that I've ever managed, and it's fun. It's fun to watch it grow, and it's fun to be able to connect with people through it. It's helped my blog significantly. It helped me go from 5 people reading my blog to over 500,000 people reading my blog. And I know that Instagram can help you as well. which is what we're going to talk about now, is how you can grow your following on Instagram. So the first thing that we need to talk about is the kind of content that you're sharing. I know if you're new to Instagram, it might be overwhelming. You may not even know where to start. What do I share? What do I even start talking about? So just a quick overview, when you're setting up an account, I really suggest that you use your name. I know that I didn't use my name. I used INFJ Woman, and that's one of the biggest regrets that I have about my business. I really wish that I would have used my name or something similar to my name. And I've thought about changing it, and it's just a lot of work to change it. So it is what it is right now. But if you're setting up a brand new account, I really suggest that you use your name or some form of your name. It's really important to make sure that you don't put what you do in the title, because if your title is, at the marketing blog, and you were talking about marketing, and then all of a sudden you want to talk about podcasting, well, it doesn't really translate. And changing your username is really difficult because everybody knows where to find you. They know you by that name, and you're probably going to have it on a lot of stuff as well. So it's important to start with a name that is kind of generic. That's why I suggest that you use your name. I would also encourage you to write a little bit about what you do in the description, and also to put a link to your website there. And for your profile picture, I know that I said that I started out by using a logo that I created. I really suggest that you use a picture of yourself, a picture that's a close-up of you where you can see the whites of your eyes. I know my picture is almost a little bit far away from that because you can't really see the whites of my eyes, but it's pretty close. So I would suggest that you use a pretty zoomed in picture so that people can see you. That's part of them getting to know you. All right, so let's talk about what kind of content to share. The first thing that we're going to talk about is informational graphics. It's important to share information about what it is that you do. The next thing is a call to action. So someplace where people can get more information about you. And then the last thing is personal stories, because we want to humanize your brand. So let's dive into this a little bit more. So the first thing is informational graphics. This is information about what you do. For your Instagram account, in order for it to grow, it's important for you to have one main goal. You want to solve a problem with your account. That's why people are going to follow you. They're going to follow you for advice, or they're going to follow you for information that they need to solve some kind of problem that they have. So these graphics are all about how to build your business. Empathy is really important. Make someone feel less alone. Storytelling, all of those things are really important. So people follow this account that I have to get information about how to grow their business. If your account is about INFJs, the personality type, then you would share graphics about that personality type. If your Instagram is about yoga, then you would share informational graphics about different yoga poses or why yoga is good for them and how it can benefit them. It's just information that will help people. The second type is a call to action. So this is where if you're promoting a blog, then this is your blog post that's going to get your readers from Instagram to your blog post. So if you look at the middle graphic here, this is a graphic that I created for my blogs. So every time I write a new blog post, I create a graphic that looks just like this. I change the picture and I change the words, but the color stays the same and the font stays the same. So that every time I wrote a blog post, I post this graphic and people know when they see this graphic that that means that it's a blog post. This graphic on the left is a YouTube graphic, and all of those look the same as well. And then I post the link in my bio, which I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Another call to action is a freebie, something that I give away to get people to sign up for my email list. This one on the right is all about finding your purpose. And then in the description, it talks a little bit about finding your purpose. And then also, again, it says link in bio. So those are the types of call to actions. And you may not have a YouTube channel. You may not have your email list set up right away, but it is very much important that if you have a blog, that you have the same kind of graphics to promote your blog and that you're sharing those consistently. And then the last kind of post is a personal story. Now, when I was talking about setting up your Instagram account and putting a picture of you as your profile picture, all of that is because you want to humanize your brand. What that means is you want people to get to know you as a person. You don't want to be a business that ends up like a faceless corporation. The best way to get people to connect with you and to eventually buy things from you is to share your story with them. And the best way to do that is for them to get to know you. And you do that by sharing pictures of yourself, by sharing pieces of your story, by getting to know them the same way that you would if you were getting to know a new friend. Now, you don't have to necessarily share pictures of you when you were little, like I did. This picture was just too cute for me not to share. But it's important for your audience to get to know you. That's how they connect with you. That's how they're going to really become really true customers of yours. Okay, so we have our 3 different kinds of posts that we're going to share. Now let me share with you some of the best strategies that I've figured out for growth. And everything that I'm sharing with you comes from my personal experience, things that I have tried and tested multiple times and things that I use on my account now. Things that work for me, and I'm positive they're going to work for you as well. So the first step is to know who your audience is. Know who your ideal audience is or your ideal customer. When you talk about your audience, you're really talking to one specific person. That is a past version of you. You had a problem in the past and you were able to solve that problem. Like what I told you about my personality type. I had a problem with not understanding who I was. And when I figured out my personality type, that helped me to understand who I was, and it helped me in so many different ways. So I solved that problem for myself, and I wanted to solve that problem for other people. So when I looked at who I was speaking to with my Instagram account, it was one person. It wasn't a whole bunch of people. It was one person, and that was the past version of myself. The version of myself that had that problem understanding myself. That woman who didn't know her personality type, who was depressed and lost and anxious and thought that she was broken and knew that she was misunderstood and didn't know how to fix it. That's the person that I was talking to. I knew how to solve her problem because I solved the problem for myself, right? So when I say know your audience, I'm saying you need to talk to that one specific person who is your ideal customer, who's a past version of yourself. You're solving a problem, right? So that's number 2. As you're solving that problem, you need to communicate that to your audience through those informational graphics that we talked about, through those personal posts, through sharing your story. You solve the problem for them. When you're able to solve a problem for your audience, you won't need to go looking for people. You won't need to do those follow for follow strategies. You won't need to go to Facebook groups looking for your audience because people are going to be attracted to you. They're going to find you. They're going to tell their friends and their family members, and you'll see growth in your account of 1,000 followers a week or 2,000 followers a week, just like I have in the past. The next thing that I want you to do is to post 3 to 5 times a day, every single day. I know what you're saying. This seems like a lot. And it is a lot, especially if you're used to posting once a week or once every other week. Posting 3 to 5 times a day, it's a lot, but it's necessary. The thing about Instagram is that your content dies. What that means is that Instagram, their algorithm that they have, they're only going to pull posts to show to people from the last couple of days, maybe, if you're lucky, a couple of days. So the more content that you have on Instagram, the more content that's available for them to show to people. And with Instagram, just like with most other social media, it's out of sight, out of mind. If you're not posting every single day, at the absolute very least once a day, people aren't going to find you. The more that you post, the better. For my account, I post 5 times a day. And I would also encourage you to play with this a little bit and try it out, see what happens. Try posting once a day for 2 weeks and see how many followers that you get. And then try posting 3 times a day for 2 weeks and see how many followers you get. And then try 5 times a day for 2 weeks and see how many followers you get. I bet you get more with 5. I actually tried posting 6 times a day and 7 times a day as well. And I realized that it didn't really make that much of a difference. So that's why I stuck with 5, because 5 was the best. Now, I really don't encourage you to post organically, because remembering to post 5 times a day organically is really difficult, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. I have a strategy for you that's really going to help save you a lot of time and make sure that all of your posts get posted without you having to be there 5 times a day. Okay, so the next thing that I want you to do is to use hashtags. Make sure that you're using 5 to 7 hashtags. 5 to 7, not 500, not 75 like a lot of people do. You don't need that many. You really only need about 5 to 7. But it's important that you find those hashtags that have less than 25,000 posts on them. Why is that important? It's important because if you pick one that has 5 million posts on it, your post is going to get lost. Nobody's going to see it. It's going to get lost with 5 million other posts, right? If you pick one that only has 25,000 posts or 2,500 posts, you have a lot better chance of being seen. Now, I'm sure your next question is, how do I know how many posts are on a hashtag? When you go to Instagram and you go to the search function and you type in a hashtag, say your hashtag is INFJ, you type that in, it's going to tell you how many posts are that hashtag is using. So I would suggest that you get specific. So rather than just saying INFJ, if you say INFJ personality, there will be less. If you say INFJ struggles, there will be even less. If you say INFJ woman, there'll be even less. So just make sure that the hashtags that you pick, all 5 to 7 of them, have under 25,000 posts on them. And make sure that you use 5 to 7 hashtags on every single post that you post, every single one. And the last thing is to show up for your audience. Now, I'm going to share with you a little bit later a strategy where you don't have to post organically, but it is important for you to show up for your audience, especially when you're getting started. When somebody comments on one of your posts, make sure that you respond to it, even if it's just saying thank you. A better way is to ask them a question, get a conversation started so that you get more than just one comment. You can also direct message people. Even if they just like your post, you can direct message them and say, hey, thanks for liking my post. I really appreciate that. You doing that is going to help build that know, like, and trust. It's going to help them get to know you and want to be a bigger part of your audience and want to know what you have going on. There's a reason that they followed your account. There's a reason that they like you, that they're liking your posts. So reach out to them, start that conversation. That'll help them get to know you. You'll build customers for life that way. A big reason is that most people don't do that. Most people are just there for the likes and there for the followers, and they don't ever connect with their audience. So when you show up for your audience, especially when you're asking them questions, when you're providing little pieces of advice in their comments, it's gonna do a lot for you. All right, so how to automate everything. This is extremely important. The first thing that I'm going to tell you to do in your automation is to use a content calendar. I love scheduling things. I love making lists and organizing things. It's a part of my personality. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I use Google Docs and Google Sheets to organize my whole life. That way I know exactly what's going on. So for your content calendar, I especially encourage you to use this for your blog so that you know exactly what's going to be posted. I also put down the holidays, so I'm aware of what holidays are coming up and how quickly they're coming up, because sometimes they sneak up on you. And I also jot down things like back to school and the start of summer and all of those kinds of things that you really want to be aware of. Maybe you want to work that into your content depending on what your blog is about. When you use a content calendar, though, that helps you to stay on track, especially if you're using theme weeks, which you can absolutely do if that helps you create more content. The next thing that I want you to do is batch your content. So that means if you're making your own graphics, instead of making one at a time, I want you to make a week's worth of them at a time. That way, you don't have to do one post at a time. You're not showing up on Instagram 5 times a day, which is a lot. Just creating one graphic at a time. When you create a week's worth of them at a time, you have all of it done. And then you can really utilize the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is a scheduling program. This is a lifesaver. When you're posting 5 times a day on Instagram, it's impossible. It's impossible for me to show up organically 5 times a day on Instagram. I tried 3 times a day and it just didn't work. It was part of my let's try everything and see if it works, because some people say that when you post organically that Instagram promotes it a little bit more. I didn't really find that big of a improvement when I posted organically, so I thought, what's the use of doing that? You can use a program like Hootsuite, which is free. It's a great program to get you started. I like to use a web-based program called Later.com. It has a great scheduling layout, and it saves all of your graphics for you as well. So if you want to use them multiple times, you have them right there. It also saves all of your hashtags for you, so that you can use them just with one click. Rather than having to type all of them out, you can save them. So I love Later. I would definitely encourage you to check it out. All right, that's all that I have about Instagram. I hope that you learned an awful lot. I would love to hear about the results that you get. You can send me a direct message at INFJWoman, or you can post a comment if you're watching on YouTube. I would love to know what your Instagram account is, and I'd be more than happy to follow you. So send me a direct message or post it in the comments. I have a couple more resources that I want to share with you before you go. There is a blog post on my blog about how to get to 10,000 followers, and it dives a little bit deeper into the strategies that we talked about today. I also have an ebook that's called 10,000 Followers, and this gives you the exact details of the exact strategy that I use to grow my Instagram account to well over 50,000 followers. It is a $49 value, but I am offering it to you for a limited time for only $7. So if you are interested in growing your Instagram following, I really suggest that you go grab a copy. You need this book. It has everything that you need to know to get to that 10,000 mark, and well beyond that. I have more than 5 times that right now. So you can find it at sarahkuhn.co/10K-followers, and there is a link for it in the show notes. All right, that's all we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Please make sure that you subscribe wherever you listen. It helps other people to find me. And also make sure that you check out the video on YouTube at youtube.com/INFJWoman. And we will see you again next week.